guys, Christian the Haver Card Man coming back at you with another video today, and this time around we are taking a look at my Fluffal profile. But before we get into that, be sure to check out all those links down in the description below so you guys can go check out all the other channels I'm involved with, like Team Chaos Stream and the Coalition of Scrubs. And if you haven't heard of the Coalition of Scrubs yet, basically it's another Yu-Gi-Oh channel that I'm a part of where me and several other Yu-Gi-Tubers get together to make you guys some awesome Yu-Gi-Oh content, so be sure to go check that out. I will have all the individual creators linked down in the description as well for you to go check out as well. They're all awesome people creating some awesome content, so please go show them some love. And while you're down there, you might as well click the like and subscribe button for my channel so you can stay updated on future uploads that I have, like more deck profiles, some deck reviews, meta analysis, podcasts, and all sorts of other stuff, as well as live streams every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's Fluffal deck profile. So this one's kind of been getting some more notice lately with the introduction of Frightful Whale, I believe in Eternity Code, so it's been a little while now. But it might have been a different set, but either way, it's been getting some more attention since then, and I felt like today I might as well throw in my take on it because I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I think it can do a lot of insane things. So let's go ahead and get into it today. So starting off with the monsters here, we'll start off with our Fluffal lineup. We are running, of course, the 3 Fluffal Dog. This is your normal summon, special search for the deck. Just super incredible, does a lot in terms of getting you started with your plays. 2 Fluffal Penguin allows you to kind of cycle out your hand if you use it for fusion material, and it can allow you to do some different things, kind of help unbrick you a little bit. 2 Fluffal Dolphin helps you reset your toy vendors if you need those, or you can just do shuffle stuff back into the deck like your fusion spells or your polymerization so you can keep resources going. Fluffals are actually surprisingly good at keeping resources flowing, and I think it's really impressive. So we're also running the 2 Fluffal Bear, allows us to discard to set a toy vendor from deck, so just another access toy vendor, or we contribute it to target a poly in our graveyard. I mean, that one's not so good. It's mostly for the toy vendor effect and also for another Fluffal name. Next up here, we are running the 2 copies of Fluffal Owl. I'm pretty sure a lot of people aren't actually running this, but I like having it as a backup plan. I don't usually use it for like the normal or special summon effect to search for the polymerization, because that just leaves it available to be ashed. You can always just use it as a polymerization on field to use materials from your hand or field as fusion materials with him to summon a Frightful monster. So to avoid the ash, I think it's better to just use that effect. But once again, another Fluffal name and another means to fusion summon. So next up, we are running the 1 Fluffal Angel, just because we can use its effect in the pendulum scale to target 1 Fluffal or Edge monster in our graveyard and special summon it. It does lock us in only being able to special summon fusion monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, but that's totally okay because that's like the main goal of this deck anyway, so it's not a big deal. The on-field effect isn't really anything too insane. We don't really worry about that. It's mostly for the pendulum effect. Then we have the Fluffal Sheep, one of in here. If you control a Fluffal monster, you can special summon it from your hand and return one other Fluffal you control to the hand. Special summon 1 Edge from your hand or graveyard. So basically, this is a later game recursion thing. It gets you instant access to Fright for Fusion as long as you have this and a fusion spell with an Edge in your graveyard. So it's more for the late game play, and once again to be another Fluffal name. And well, I mean, it can also special summon itself. So if you need to, you can use it for link plays. Next up, we're running the 1 of Fluffal Cat. This is just if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a poly in your graveyard back to your hand, so it just allows you to keep fusion summoning like crazy. You're basically just swinging around to 3 different polymerizations, just kind of reusing them and recycling them. There is other fusion cards in here, but those are your main ones. So next up, we do have the 1 Fluffal Rabbit. If it's sent for a fusion summon as fusion material, you can target 1 Edge Sabers or Fluffal monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So once again, more recursion, basically the same thing as Fluffal Sheep, just a nice little bonus. And lastly, for the Fluffals, we are running the 2 Fluffal Wings. Allows us to be able to banish it and another Fluffal from our graveyard to destroy a toy vendor on field, get a draw. Actually, we get 2 draws out of it from banishing itself and a Fluffal monster. That if you send a toy vendor to the graveyard, you get to draw another card. So you're drawing 2 cards plus getting a search off a toy vendor. So this is a huge plus and advantage. The Fluffal Wings is just great, and it's so easy to get it in graveyard that's not even a big deal. And then, I mean, when you banish it, obviously. So Fluffal Wings, super great card. Does kind of need a little bit of setup, but if you can get that advantage, it is huge. So on to the Edge monsters, because this is the other half of our materials for most of these fusion monsters. We are running the 2 of Edge Cotton Eater. More so just because of, once again, it's an Edge monster, and for the pendulum effect, all fusion monsters gain 300 attack, which is a nice little boost. It can help out more than you'd think. And then if a Fright for a Fusion monster is fusion summoned to your field once per turn, you can draw 1 card. So getting that little bonus draw is nice. Once again, this deck is just really good at keeping up the advantage game, and I think it's insane how much it can do. Next up, we are running the 3 Edgem Chain. If this is sent to the graveyard from the hand or field, you can add 1 Fright for a card from your deck to your hand, and this does include spells, which is the main reason we're using it. Because if we use him to fusion summon, say with a Polymerization, we can use him to search either for a Fright for a Fusion or Fright for Patchwork, which will get us into a Polymerization and another monster. So super cool there. I love the Edgem Chain. He's definitely the best Edge Imp by far. Next up, we are running the one of Edge Imp Scythe, because this does allow us to fusion summon on our opponent's turn, which is just super insane. And I actually really love playing it in here. Now, people probably running it more than that normally, but I don't really think you need it because it's so easy to search for Edge Imps that, like, I'm not really worried about it. I could probably cut down the Edge Imp Cotton Eater to 1 and bump the Scythe up to 2. That would probably be the better play, but this is just how I have it for right now. And also here for last Edge Imp, I believe, second to last, we have 1 Edge Imp Sabers. This is just a staple in Fluffal decks. It's actually been present in a few decks just because it can revive itself, so it's good for link summoning. I'm pretty sure I've seen some Burning Abyss decks play it. I don't know how reliable that is, but you know, it's there, it's good, recurs, does a lot of stuff, so really fun to have there. And the last one here, we have the one of Edge Imp Frightfuloid. I don't know if I said that right, but it's always treated as a Frightfur card, which means you could totally use it for fusions that just require a Fright for a monster. Definitely makes it a lot easier to go into different things. Not only that, it just allows you to, if you need to, you can just turn into a big beat stick if you got a Fright for a monster in the graveyard. Say like you use a Fright for a whale to ditch a Fright for a monster to the graveyard, you can use your Frightfuloid to get it, just make it a big body and just go for a lot of damage. That is another good thing about Fluffals, is that they just deal a lot of damage. It's so easy for them to OTK. So that's it for the monsters. Let's go ahead and cut on now into the spells. I'm not running any traps in this deck, so it's a pretty easy lineup here. So go and get started. We are running the 3 of Toy Vendor, just pretty much a must-have. Like, if you don't include this in your list, you're just a little bit crazy. But you know, we all deserve to be that just a little bit. So with that, we are also running the 3 copies of Polymerization because it is your fusion spell. It's going to get you into most of your plays since the majority of your extra deck is fusion monsters. So definitely really good to have there, I think. And aside from that, we are also running the 2 Fright for Fusion because this is basically the Miracle Fusion from the deck, which, I mean, it's so easy to get just a bunch of materials into the graveyard and be able to use that to combo off and go even further, and it makes it really easy for the true Calamities setup that we could possibly get into later. I might talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, overall, that's a pretty good little setup there. I do like it. Aside from that, we are also running the one of Pot of Avarice because you do go through a lot of monsters in this deck, and it's so easy to just recycle the graveyard, get a couple extra draws. We have the 2 Fright for Patchwork. I almost forgot about these guys. It allows you to add 1 Edge Imp monster, 1 Poly from your deck. You can only activate 1 per turn though, so really you don't need to run more than 2, otherwise it can brick a little bit. But good for your opening hand. Once again, easy enough to search with Edge Imp Chain, so you're not really too worried about not seeing it. As long as you get access to that Edge Imp Chain, you're good. We are running 1 copy of Instant Fusion because we do have a target in the extra deck that can actually be a pretty viable target. And lastly here, to boost with our Toy Vendor, we are running the 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods, because if you open one of these up, you can send Toy Vendor to the graveyard and immediately get a search for Fluffal or an Edge Imp Sabers. So really, really good. The Toy Vendor and Fluffal Dog are like your big searchers for the deck, and there's so many ways to get their effects. It's insane. I love both of these cards so much, and that's why they're both at 3 of. So that's it for the main deck. Let's go ahead and scooch off to the extra deck really quick. I'll probably go over the Link monsters first and get to the fusions last, just because once again, those are the most important part of the deck. They are literally the engine. So scooting to the extra deck here, first off, we do have a Predator Play Verte Anaconda, because what kind of fusion deck would it be if there was not a Verte Anaconda? It's just kind of a necessity at this point. We're also running the Nightmare Cerberus, the Nightmare Phoenix, just to pop a couple of back row or special summon monster on the field, whatever situation you may need. Then we're also running the one of Nightmare Unicorn. Just really good staples. The Nightmare cards really can find their way into just about any deck that can turbo out enough materials. they're not really all that great, but once again, they're situational cards. They're there for when you need them, and there was just extra deck space, so figured why not, we might as well use them. And onto our one of Exceed card, we do have the true king of all calamities. This was one that was actually introduced to me through MCole40, and I can't remember if he found it or if somebody else, one of his viewers found it or something like that. I can't remember. I just remember seeing it in one of his videos. I'm like, wow, that is just insane. So being able to throw the true king in here is just insane. I mean, if it ends up getting banned, the Fright for deck is still good. You can definitely live without it. It's just, it definitely gives the deck a lot, especially in terms of going first, because normally it'd just be going second OTK deck, but the True King of all calamities really changes a lot for this deck. So into the fusions now, we'll go ahead and start off. Our instant fusion target here is the one of Fright for Sheep, just because it's a level 5 Fright for monster, so this actually gives you the access to a Fright for fusion monster to use for stuff like your Fright for Sabertooth, so definitely nice to have him there. Gives you that little, gives you the name bonus or material for links if you need it. It's overall a good little extender. Or if you want to summon it normally, it does have some kind of interesting stuff to it, but really, you're just using it for the instant fusion target, if we're being honest. We have the one of Fright for Wolf, just requires an Edgem Sabers and one or more Fluffal monsters. So next up, we have the 2 Fright for Kraken. I really love these guys. These are like the main monster I go into if I'm going second, because it just allows you to pop cards. Next up, we are running the 2 of Fright for Sabertooth. This requires the Fright for Fusion monster, so it's really best to go into the Kraken, get your pop, and then go into the Sabertooth, because when this card is fusion summoned, you can target one Fright for monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So you can bring out your Kraken, get the pop, bring out your Sabertooth using the Kraken, use the Sabertooth to revive the Kraken and get another pop, and still be able to attack twice with the Kraken. It's just insane. Next up here, we have the one of Fright for Devil, one Edgent monster, one Fluffal monster. It's really just there to inflict a lot of burn and just deal a lot of battle damage. So next up here, we have our 2 Fright for Whales, and this is what allows us to go into our True King of all calamities, seeing as they are level 9. And all it requires is one Edgent monster and one Fluffal monster, so it's actually super easy and super consistent to get into 2 of these guys to go into your True King. And then also, if you happen to be going second, if this card is fusion summoned, you can destroy 1 card on both players' fields. So if you fusion summon this guy, well, you got a toy vendor and your opponent's got some stuff on field, you can pop something they got and then pop your toy vendor and get a search, making it even easier to go into your second Fright for Whale. Like, it was pretty much designed to go into the True King of all calamities play. Or if you want to go for damage, once per turn is a quick effect. This is a soft once per turn. You can target 1 fusion monster you control, send 1 Fright for card from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, except for Cruel Whale. And if you do, the targeted monster gains attack equal to half of its original attack until the end of this turn. So you can just use Cruel Whale to make some fusion monsters get pretty big, especially if you got that Fright for Wolf over there and he's got several materials put into him so he can attack several times. Yeah, Fright for Whale can be just dangerous. And lastly here, we have the one of Dangerous Fright for Night Mary, just 1 Edgent monster and 2 Fluffal monsters, so once again, super easy. All these fusions are super easy to go into, and that's another really good thing about Fluffals. That is it for my Fluffal deck, guys. I don't think I'm going to do any test hands on this one. I usually don't do it with like the formatted ones where you guys see all the stuff digitally and you don't actually see the real cards. I usually don't do that kind of stuff with these, so if you really do want to see one though, let me know down in the comments. I will consider it. So thank you guys so much for watching today. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you guys can get future content from me like this, as well as, once again, the meta-analysis, deck reviews, podcasts, and other stuff to come. And thank you guys so much for all of your support. You've really been killing it so far. I haven't even been here for a full year yet, and you guys are just slaughtering it, so please keep it up. I love each and every single one of you. Once again, thank you so much for watching today. Remember to have fun and make your move. Peace out.
I'm a love giver, searching for glory, I'm a strong winner. Don't mean the ball cause I'm a hard hitter, only be swimming in the deep river. I'm a love giver, holding on to all the best things in life.